Hello folks. A few days ago I asked you about this turkey in particular because I felt like it more resembled an Eastern than a Rio. Rios are what we mostly have around here. To give you the backstory real quick, originally wild turkeys are not native to Oregon. They were first introduced, an attempt was made to introduce Easterns in the 1920s, I believe it was. They largely died off because they were farm-raised birds. Yeah, go figure. Anyway, then they actively started with Rios, or not Rios, Merriam's turkeys in the early 1960s. Mountain turkey, mountain state, right? Made sense. And that was fairly successful. But then later on they introduced Rios, and the Rios proved to be more adaptable than any other subspecies, so eventually that's all they stuck with. So in theory there shouldn't be any Easterns here, but they do get around. It's not unusual for a wild turkey to cover 15 miles a day. Now, looking at the comments, the vast majority of you agreed with me that it more resembled an Eastern. There was one commenter that gave me a reference, gave me a link, which was the 2018 Oregon Wild Turkey Management Plan, which I've read pretty much cover to cover twice already. So yeah, I do get it. But other than that one commenter, the only other person who disagreed was a person at Fish and Wildlife. We have a local office, and I went out there. I didn't show him the fan, but I showed him pictures on my phone. And the regular biologist I talked to wasn't there, but there was this other guy there. He claimed it was a Rio, but this was, when I first brought the pictures, first thing he asked me was where I shot it. I don't think I should have answered him because I think that biased him immediately. Because then he looks at it and, oh yeah, it's a Rio. Well, the thing of it is, normally I consider them to be a credible organization. However, this is the same organization that for years and years and years denied there were any wolves in Eastern Oregon, or in Oregon at all, until they were finally bombarded with so many reports of wolves that they had to finally admit that wolves were here. And I think it's the same thing in this case. I think they don't really want to believe that there's Eastern turkeys here. There are states not that far away that have Eastern. Washington does. We're only about 50 miles from the border. Most of the Easterns in Washington are on the western side of the state though. But in my mind, I believe it is an Eastern, or it's a Rio with a lot of Eastern DNA. Could be a hybrid, it's always possible. What they do recognize in Oregon, Fish and Wildlife that is that we have Merriam's, mostly in extreme Eastern Oregon and in and around Mount Hood area. Also hybrid turkeys, which are Rios and Merriam's combined. They don't list any Easterns, but if you go to the NWTF website and look at records, someone entered a record from Western Oregon and they bagged an Eastern. So, and I believe it to be honest. And another thing, if the Rios varied in color that much, then why even list anything as a separate subspecies? You know, who knows? Maybe the Golds and the Merriams are the same species, right? Because to me, a Gold's looks like a Merriam's with long legs. I mean, there is that. Yeah, they do vary. The Rio's vary, and that's mostly what I shot up to this point. Now, the turkey I got 5 days before this really looks a lot to me like a Merriam's. So I'll be putting that video up first from that hunt. And I would appreciate your comments on whether you think it's a Rio or a Merriam's. I believe it's a Merriam's or a hybrid. Anyway, thank you for the comments. I really do appreciate the input. It helped immensely. Thanks for watching.